Hey Carla, I'm thinking of outsourcing. I'm just not sure if it's the right step for me right now in my business. I really get this question a lot. Even with my 10 years of experience in outsourcing, there are still a lot of online business owners that are still deciding if outsourcing is really right for them, or maybe they should just hire in-house, maybe they should just hire a consultant, maybe they should just hire a whole team. There's so many questions, there's so many ways to do this. And in this video, I will tell you the upside, the downside, the pros and the cons, and basically some of our best practices in my company in Proximity Outsourcing, so that we can guide you through this process. Now, I know it's pretty late probably in the industry. Outsourcing has been around for so long. In fact, in the country where I grew up, in the Philippines, when I was in college, sometime between 2005 and 2009, I already have seen a lot of people working for business process outsourcing companies or call centers, and that's really how we became such a huge leader in outsourcing. Because we're great at speaking English, Filipinos have a great attitude towards providing help, providing service, taking care of other people. Probably why we make such good teachers, nurses, and hospitality workers. It was really, really easy for a lot of Filipinos to be in this industry. Now, despite this industry being pretty mature, there are still a lot of online business owners that really need a lot of help in terms of thinking about outsourcing and deciding whether or not this is the best way for them to go about the next step or the next level in their business. First, I will define outsourcing. Outsourcing is hiring external talent to do tasks for you. So the common models are freelancers, hiring agencies, maybe hiring virtual assistants, and hiring offshore teams. So basically, this is assigning a set of tasks or a set of roles, or a role or a task or an outcome to a set of people or a person that is not employed in-house in your company. Now, why do people outsource? The reasons why people outsource is, first, it really, really helps free up a lot of time and freedom for mostly the founder, so that the founder or the business owner can focus on doing revenue generating or cash producing tasks. So in some of my clients who are solopreneurs or single person consultants, the first role that they hire typically is a chief of staff or a very high level executive assistant. Now, the reason why they hire this person is that they want these little things out of their way, these tedious admin day-to-day tasks. They just want that out of the way so that they can focus on their cash producing tasks. The other reason why people outsource is specialized skills. So sometimes when we are hiring for particular people in our industry, because of how our offers are designed, we do not have a lot of experience hiring for certain skills in a different discipline. So let me give you an easy example. If I was in e-commerce, I'm really good at understanding markets, maybe tariffs, merchandising, shipping, handling, logistics. Maybe I'm really good at that. And maybe I'm really good at hiring for those positions. Now, to build a pretty successful e-commerce company, you have to have marketing, and maybe you have to have social media. And so to do that, I would need to know what a good social media manager looks like or sounds like, and how can I find them? And same thing with marketing, or maybe something more specific like email marketing, funnel building. So these may be things that are not within my wheelhouse of expertise, or I'm not trained on, or I just know there's so many people out there that are better than me in hiring those roles. So what I would do as an e-commerce business owner is I would just outsource or hire out for these positions. So specialized skills and tapping to specialized talent is also another reason why people outsource. The other reason why people outsource is that outsourcing makes it really easy for companies to scale up or down. So there's a lot of flexibility in outsourcing. So in my company, in Proximity Outsourcing, all of our contracts are month to month. You can even upgrade or downgrade. And so if you're busier, you can upgrade, you can get more hours. And if you're not that busy, you can downgrade or you can pay for less hours. And so having that flexibility is something that you do not get if you hire in-house, especially within the labor laws of the country where you live in. And so in that regard, outsourcing would be a really, really good option for a company that may need that kind of flexibility. So lastly, another good reason why people outsource is maybe they really want the cost savings. And so outsourcing is very famous in a lot of developing countries like Philippines, India, a lot of countries in Latin America, Eastern Europe, and even in Africa. And most of the companies that hire these offshore talent are companies from the US, Canada, UK, Australia, New Zealand, or more developed countries. Now, the reason why they outsource is that they can tap highly skilled, specialized talent from different parts of the world by paying maybe a third or sometimes even a fifth of the cost. So let me give you an example. To hire a full-time Lean Six Sigma Green Belt certified project manager in my company in Proximity Outsourcing, it would really only cost you somewhere between 13 to 15 US dollars an hour. Now, if you pay for the same talent, for the same quality of talent in the United States, you might be paying 3 times more than that, or maybe even way more, because you have to give certain benefits, you have to give certain PTOs and other employee engagement things. Whereas in outsourcing company like mine, you only pay one payment and my company takes care of their benefits, insurance, healthcare. We also provide upskilling. So that's another benefit of outsourcing. So there's a lot of upsides. There's also certain cultural advantages and time zone advantages. So I have a lot of talent in the creative pool in my company. So we have YouTube video editors, graphic designers, and writers. I noticed that a lot of my clients in the American or Canadian time zone, they like working with the Philippines in the creative scene and following the Philippine time zone, because according to them, they like the work to be done at night in the US. And then when they wake up, the work is already there. So that is also one of the features of using the time zones to your advantage. Or you can also handpick somewhere in the middle, like Philippines and the UK. So there's a very, very good middle ground. But of course, a lot of outsourcing companies all over the world follow the time zone of their clientele. So I would say in my company, over 80% of people work for the US time zone, and then the rest are kind of distributed into different time zones. So of course, it's not all rainbows and butterflies. There are certain downsides to outsourcing. So if you're thinking of outsourcing, you gotta be ready for this. So first downside is sometimes there may be some communication gaps. So if you have initially decided to work on different time zones, then of course there is a gap where you can't get an instant answer. So of course this issue can be resolved by having a proper expectation on your communication cadence and maybe a better feedback loop or a better way to manage things inside your project management platform that could solve that problem. The next downside, possible downside, is quality control. Now, I will not lie, sometimes when you're talking to people in a different culture, it takes a lot more explaining, it takes a lot more resources and maybe orientation in terms of your standards, in terms of branding, in terms of basically how you do things. And that is one downside. Now, the solution to this is properly prepare your resources for onboarding and make it really absolutely clear. Now, the good thing right now is you can do this with AI. Like you can even ask AI, hey, what am I missing? And how can I explain this better? So that is definitely an advantage that we have now. So this downside can be easily manageable. The next downside is security and compliance. So my company takes care of this by having all of our remote professionals sign legal documents that protect my clients' intellectual property and confidential information, and they're also protected under the data privacy law of the Philippines. Now, yes, you can have maybe even ChatGPT create a contract regarding this, but without a company or without having real protection in the country where you're outsourcing, there might be a little bit of risk there, right? And so there's many ways to go about this. First is you can hire your outsourced person in office, and you can also have access or provide them a computer that they will use only for work, and you can also have certain controls over that computer. The other thing is maybe just do not outsource anything that holds really critical confidential information. Maybe keep that in-house, or maybe don't do that work offshore. So, but of course, if it's just basic tasks like design, video, funnel building, project management, those are definitely really good tasks to assign to an outsourced team, even if they're located on the other side of the world. Now, the next downside is overdependency on one platform. So we have noticed particular times when we are so dependent on maybe Zoom or Slack or maybe even ChatGPT, and for that day, it's just down. It's not working out. This happened to me a couple of times in the last few years that I've been working online. There are just some days that Zoom is just not on point. It's just not working out and they're down. And so that affects your workflow. And so obviously this risk is not just a risk in outsourcing, it's a general risk that happens if your team is fully remote. So definitely just prepare for these things and try not to be over dependent on one particular tool or one particular platform online. So those are basically kind of the broad strokes of what to think about when we think about outsourcing. So now that you may have built up your impression on whether outsourcing is good or bad, or whether or not outsourcing is good or bad for you or for your business or for where you're at in your business right now and where you want to go, here are some guidelines on which types of businesses should or shouldn't outsource. So I would say businesses that should outsource are businesses that have a need for people that don't have to do a lot of high-level decision making. And these are the people that operationally just keep a lot of things in place. And I don't mean that you can't outsource for growth, because that is definitely what we do best at Proximity Outsourcing at my company. But it's very, very good to start outsourcing for things that are just kind of tedious, everyday, repetitive. So a lot of admin roles, chief of staff roles that support the founder so that the founder or the business owner can have more time. Creative roles, graphic design, video editing, comment moderation, social media, project management, client success. These are great roles to outsource. What roles shouldn't you outsource? I would say COO, CMO, or Director of Operations. Do not outsource those roles. It's so much better also for high-level strategists to be a role that is not outsourced. It's better for these roles, for strategy roles, to be an outside consultant that works directly with the founder, but not an outsourced role that is paid per hour, that is offshore. So for me, if it's a high-level marketing role, a high-level strategy role, a high-level operations, a C-suite role, I would definitely say keep that in-house or hire one trusted strategist for that high-level role. And as much as I would like to believe that people from the other side of the world can have an awesome understanding of your market and the personal brand of the founder, for me, in my opinion, it's much, much easier to have that person or that strategist be in-house or be from a culture that is the same as the founder. So I know that it doesn't mean that, if someone comes from a different country, they can't do research or they can't fully understand. But what I'm trying to say is that you want this to be easier for you as a business owner, and you really want less risks. So that is my advice. So of course, if you're already thinking of going through this path of outsourcing, my next tip is definitely choose the right partner. And that means develop certain expectations in communication, vet them properly, look for reviews, testimonials, look for the quality of businesses that they worked with, look for what other people are talking about when they're mentioning these companies in groups, in online groups, in masterminds. Ask your friends about this company and try to look at their client list. Maybe you know someone there, or you know someone who knows someone. And lastly, try to see if their culture is a really, really good cultural fit for what you believe in as your core values as a person, as a company, and where you want your business to go. So for me, typically, I like working with other business owners that have such a positive growth mindset, and that really makes a difference on whether or not I work with a person, even if their prices are the same or kind of close to each other. So I would say definitely think about those things: communication, vet properly, and look for a cultural or work ethic fit in all of the options that you have. And so now that you probably already have a few companies in mind, hopefully my company is one of them, let's talk best practices. So best practices, this is pretty easy and quick. I would encourage you to have a lot of SOPs or standard operating procedures, document and develop some if-then processes, like if X happens, then Y should be done. Next is decide on a particular communication cadence and your preferred communication platform and how you're going to do feedback. Lastly is decide on one very, very effective project management tool, or basically your virtual office, where all of you will hang out. We'll talk about the projects that you're doing. We'll give each other updates on what you guys are doing so that both of you can have a good experience, because at the end of the day, it's not just you trying to hire this outsourced team. It's also this outsourced team giving you certain resources, giving you their time and expertise, and they also want to make sure that they have a great experience in working with you, because truthfully, life is too short to work with people that we don't want to work with. So basically, that is the good and the bad of the outsourcing, some advice, some best practices. I will put a link in the description for some of our success stories, some of our amazing case studies from companies getting sold to huge companies, from companies that have grown from a small media company to a YouTube channel with over 1 million subscribers. We also have served coaches and single person businesses that have just hired one person and they make somewhere between $30,000 to $50,000 a month. So these people are creating super amazing things, and you can learn some of the things that they're doing and some of the roles that they've hired for that really, really help with their growth. So if you like this video, definitely click subscribe. And every week I will post videos about growing your online business through outsourcing and hiring remote teams. And definitely check out the link in the description to check out some of our amazing success stories, some people with real businesses and real growth through outsourcing.